Hello friends, so just a little exploration of the pelvic floor and then a shorter version, so it can be something you can hopefully add in multiple times a week, maybe even, right? So I have my blocks and I'm going to sit cross-legged, but I sit up on heights so my hips are higher than my knees for the health of my pelvis, right? And I'm going to bring those legs out into Sukhasana. Now for the first part, lean back. And go ahead and bring your hands down to the ground behind you, right? And then when you exhale, I want you to see if you can get your anal sphincter, your rectum, and even your buttocks to kind of gently move in and up. So we're on the back side of the pelvis, working those muscles, right? So every time you inhale, you're going to soften 100% best you can, soften everything. If you can't, note where you can't soften, right? And then exhale again. It's the rectum, the anal sphincter, and your buttocks are going to kind of squeeze in. And do that one more time or so, depending on where you are with your timing. And again, you're just noticing that feeling. You're getting a sense of the back edge of the pelvis and the muscles of the back of what I'm going to call the pelvic floor, right? And then come on up. If you want to switch your shins, you can. We won't be here for too long. And then you're going to lean a little forward, right? And now I want you to think of your genitals, your urethra, right? And all the front side of the pelvic floor, gently moving in together like they're bunching up and moving up towards the crown of the head. And that's with every exhale. You probably feel a movement up into your bladder, right? So now we're getting a felt sense of the front side of those muscles. And then come back to center. Your perineum lies between your genitals and your anus, and it's that muscle right in the center. So from the very center of seated, every time you exhale, without engaging everything down there, see if you can get that perineum to gently, almost like it's going to pucker into a center or pull into a center and then pull up, right? And this is the Muladhara Bandha. And also, you can think of it, depending on where you are with it. If you're very beginning, it might feel like too much. But if you're a woman, think of not only the perineum, but all the way up to the cervix, that whole area. So there's some depth to it, pulling up, right, when you exhale. It's subtle work, friends. Don't get too aggressive with this. My male friends, you're a little higher. You have a little more depth to that. You're coming all the way up to the prostate. It supports all the way up to the prostate, right? So you can think of not just the surface, the perineum, but even deeper inside the body, that movement in of the diaphragm and up towards the crown of the head. And release that, soften everything. So now we're gonna get all sides of the pelvic floor, the mudras and the Muladhara Bandha, right? And we're going to see if we can't get all of it. I like to think of, I can't remember who gave me this image, but I love it. It's like a silk cloth, which is super perceptive to touch, right? When you inhale, let everything be down there 100% soft. And then when you exhale, it's almost like that silk cloth, that hammock is being pulled into the very center and then brought up. But let it engage the front side that you got a felt sense for, the back side of the pelvic floor, and that muscle at the perineum, the bandha, right? So all those muscles, gently, don't be aggressive, right? On an exhale, they all bunch into center and up, right? Towards the cervix, towards the prostate, all the way up towards the crown of the head. So just close your eyes if that helps. There's nothing to see looking at me, or a very soft drishti. And do that about 3 more times, right? Every time I exhale, it's that full pelvic floor moving a little together and a little up, bunching in and coming up. Any of my friends who struggle to find the bandha, the Muladhara Bandha part of it, right? Mula Bandha. You can think of if you were peeing and you had to stop yourself from peeing, it's that muscle. And that's true for men and women. Last one. This time, hold it in. Keep it contracted. Try to keep the exhale out. And when you need that inhale, release every muscle and inhale. And now we'll do that 2 more times. So you're exhaling, it's the same movement, bunching the hammock, that fabric, that silk fabric, in and up, right, towards the cervix or the prostate. But I want you to keep the air out, keep the contraction of the pelvic floor, keep the air out of the lungs as long as it's comfortable for you. And when you need to inhale again, you release the contraction of the muscles, the pelvic floor, and you'll do that 1 more time or so. And then you'll go back to regular breathing with those muscles soft. Notice a felt sense of that area. If that was hard to do that many, start with less. And I would say, you know, we don't want to do 1,000 of these. But if you do, you know, maybe depending on where we're all in different realms, right? But you might play with moving forward, back, the center, finding each individual piece of the pelvic floor, right? Each mudra and the bandha, and then the whole of it engages for that pelvic floor engagement. And you might play with doing that for, you know, 5 minutes or, you know, 15 times, whatever that is, 25 times probably max. And I would say, you know, maybe about 4 times a week. Don't be crazy with this stuff. We can go too far. It can be too lax and not know how to engage, or it can just be in constant state of tension, and that causes a whole other set of health issues. You don't want either. You want the in-between. Namaste, friends.